Good morning, everybody. This is Good Friday, and we are doing the recording of the next instalment of our timeline of the Holy Week. And it's Friday, so it's the second day of the Passover feast. Yesterday was the Passover feast commenced. The Passover feast commemorated the deliverance of the children of Israel from Egypt. It occurred on the 14th of Nisan every year for them. It never changed. It was always on the 14th. The 14th was always a Thursday, but today's Friday. So the Lord Jesus has been in the tomb. The body of the Lord Jesus has been in the tomb for a day. And this is now the second day of the body being in the tomb. It's the 15th of Nisan, which goes from Thursday sunset to Friday sunset. So we've already had the night, and now we're having the day. Now, the interesting thing is there's nothing recorded, like there wasn't with the Passover, so with the second day of the Passover feast and the third day of the Passover feast, there's no record in the Gospels of anything that happens on those days. However, that doesn't mean to say that nothing is happening, okay? Certainly the body of the Lord Jesus is laying there in the tomb, in the darkness. He has been prepared for burial in a fairly rushed manner, and on Easter morning, the Sunday, the women will turn up at the tomb. Hopefully they were going to be able to complete the job that had maybe not been fully completed on the day of preparation when the Lord Jesus Christ died and when he was buried. Now there's a very interesting passage in 1 Peter. Let me read it for you. Let's just see where I begin it. Yeah, verse 18. It's 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 18. It says, "For Christ also suffered for sins once for all, the righteous for the unrighteous, to bring you to God. He was put to death in the body, but made alive in the spirit, in whom he also went and preached to the spirits in prison, who disobeyed long ago, when God waited patiently in the days of Noah while the ark was being built. In the ark, a few people, only 8 souls, were saved through water, and this water symbolizes the baptism that now saves you also, not the removal of dirt from the body, but the pledge of a clear conscience toward God through the resurrection of Jesus Christ, who has gone into heaven and is at the right hand of God, with angels, authorities, and powers subject unto him." Now, it's not the latter part of the passage I want to talk about, it's the early part. Notice it says in verse 18, "He was put to death in the body, but made alive in the spirit, in whom he also went and preached to the spirits in prison, who disobeyed long ago, when God waited patiently in the days of Noah while the ark was being built." Now, what we have to remember is that the body of the Lord Jesus on the Friday and on the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the body of the Lord Jesus is laid in the tomb. But the spirit of the Lord Jesus is very much alive. You see, one of the things that we need to remember is that the spirit of a man never dies. Okay? And there's no concept in which the spirit is dead. People talk about being spiritually dead. Well, the spirit isn't dead and never will be dead. So where did the Lord Jesus go when his body was laid, when his body was dying on the cross, and when he gave up his spirit to the Father? Where did the spirit go? Well, it went to the Father. But also we learn from Peter that he also went and preached to the spirits in prison. Now, he's not speaking to, he's speaking, he's going down into hell, the place or the abode of the spirits of the dead. And the particular people that he preaches to or speaks to are those who disobeyed long ago when God waited patiently in the days of Noah while the ark was being built. So the people that were alive in the days while the ark was being built, they died, of course. They died either before the flood or they died in the flood. So their bodies were buried by the flood, but their spirits were taken and they went to hell. They went to the place of the departed spirits. And they waited there, and they continue to wait there, and they're still there now, and they're going to be raised eventually in the resurrection of the unrighteous. They were the unrighteous. They'll be raised and they'll face in their physical bodies again, when they're raised physically, they'll face the judgment of the great white throne, which is recorded for us and described fully in Revelation chapter 20. This is after the millennial reign of Christ. So Christ is coming in the future, first of all in the rapture for the church, and then there's going to be the tribulation period, and then Christ will come again to earth to establish his kingdom. And these spirits that are in the place of the departed spirits, the wicked departed spirits, they are in prison. When you look at the Greek words there, you'll find that the word is Tartarus. It is a special compartment of hell in which those people who sinned in the time of Noah are separated from the other wicked, and they're separated actually from all people. It's a particular special compartment. And the purpose for this complete separation is that the wickedness that they performed in the days of Noah must never be heard of and must never be infected into the world ever again. They will be raised, their bodies will be raised in the resurrection of the wicked, and they will face the judgment of God. The final destination of the wicked, as of all time, whether we're talking about these people that died there, or whether we're talking about any other people that are wicked that are held in hell, is not going to be hell for all eternity. It's going to be the lake of fire. That's what Revelation chapter 20 says. He says, I saw the dead, small and great, stand. And they stand before the great white throne, and they're judged according to the deeds done in the body. And there will be witnesses called to stand and testify against them. The people in the day of Sodom and Gomorrah will stand at that day and testify against the people of Christ's day when he was on earth, because they will testify and say, look, if we'd have heard the message of the Lord Jesus from him personally, then we would have repented. But of course, in their day, they had Lot. Lot was the prophet to them in their day, and they refused it, and therefore they're counted amongst the wicked. So then, now we don't know from Peter, 1 Peter chapter 3, we don't know quite how long the Lord Jesus was there. It says he also went and preached to the spirits in prison. Now we use the word preached very often to mean the preaching of the gospel. But the Lord Jesus is going down into this lower part of hell, not to preach so that they might be delivered. The word preach there, it means a declaration. It is the declaration of the victory of the cross and of the conquering of Satan. You see, the Lord Jesus destroyed him that had the power of death and set at liberty all those who all their lifetime were subject to bondage. So even though the body of the Lord Jesus is still lying in the tomb, his spirit is very, very much alive. The spirit never dies of all men. And so that spirit was very active. And here again, we learn from Peter in 1 Peter chapter 3 that he was put to death in the body, but made alive in the spirit, in whom he also went and preached to the spirits in prison who disobeyed long ago when God waited patiently in the days of Noah while the ark was being built. So there we are. That's what's happening on these 3 days. There's nothing in the Gospels that tell us anything about these 3 days, but Peter tells us about what Christ was doing in that day. There we are. How interesting it is. Well, have a wonderful holiday, everybody. It's Good Friday, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow when we'll talk more about what happens when the Lord Jesus in the Spirit, when the Lord Jesus in the Spirit is very much alive while his body lies in the tomb. God bless you all, and bye for now.